Denver is ditching its vehicle tracking cameras, worried the Trump administration will use them to find immigrants. Democrats at the state capitol want to force ICE agents to get a warrant to go into schools and hospitals.
What we are doing is clarifying processes.
Years after the summer of racial justice protests, Denver and Aurora are still fighting over which city is to blame for roughing up protesters.
This was really an unprecedented situation.
And high schoolers learn how to investigate a fire with the help of a previously deceased pig. Don't call it a pig roast, this is learning.
I don't think everyone does this every day, and I love it.
Tonight on Next. Denver will stop using its automated vehicle tracking cameras over fears that system could be commandeered by the Trump administration to hunt down immigrants for deportation. This just came down. City Council voted unanimously after urging from Mayor Mike Johnson to not extend a contract with the company that's behind more than 100 cameras at intersections around the city. Those cameras were installed last year to help with Denver's high rate of car theft, and car theft is down 40%. But recently, progressives on City Council have worried that ICE could try to get access to those cameras to track people for deportation.
We're living in an era where just this last week, actually, an executive order came out instructing the Department of Justice and the FBI to look for reasons to prosecute local elected officials and activists who they believe are, quote unquote, obstructing ICE enforcement. This kind of surveillance technology is a gift if you have that kind of ill intent, and the federal government has that ill intent right now.
Denver's a target of the Trump administration because the city will only assist ICE with immigration enforcement if those agents have a warrant. The city's pilot program with the camera company Flock will continue through the end of the year. Meanwhile, Democrats at the state capitol are also moving to protect immigrants in this country without authorization. A bill passed this morning would require ICE to get a warrant to go into Colorado's schools and hospitals. And there's more to this bill. Our Angeline McCall takes a closer look.
A pro-immigrant bill on the House floor this weekend, bringing support and opposition.
This is supersizing Colorado as a sanctuary state.
Opponents say the bill disables cooperation between local and federal authorities. They also worry it sidesteps the justice system. The bill allows immigrants who have pled guilty to certain crimes to request those pleas be vacated if they did not know it would affect their immigration case.
This opens the door for manipulation of our court system and undermines finality in legal proceedings.
Sponsors say that part of the bill only applies for petty, traffic, or misdemeanor offenses.
And when we violate due process, we violate justice.
Democratic State Representative Lorena Garcia says it's needed when people aren't aware a guilty plea may impact their immigration case.
So when they aren't told, then they accept the deal, they are accepting a deal without proper advisement. So what this does, it's for a very small group of people that if they do go through the process of getting their citizenship, they have a right to seek a vacatur process, which then allows them to vacate their plea because of improper counsel.
When the White House is prioritizing mass deportations, sponsors say the bill allows greater protections at a time when immigrants are more targeted.
If ICE wants to come into this state, we can't stop them, but they just need to come in and do it the right way, and that is having a judicially signed warrant.
There are several components of this bill, including talking about limiting personal information that agencies can give to the federal government. This bill passed on party lines. Kyle?
So somebody has one of these low-level criminal offenses that they pleaded guilty to because they didn't know it would affect their immigration status. They go back through this process. What would happen to the underlying thing that they did?
Yeah, so basically the case reopens. They have to go through the whole process again. You know, just because they say, I didn't know that this would impact my immigration case, that case still remains, active, right? And so they have to go through the whole court process once again if they are successful in vacating that plea deal.
All right, Angeline McCall, thank you. The governor said here on Next, at the start of the legislative session, that he was essentially going to hand his veto pen over to the business community on one issue. It was because fellow Democrats have been looking to change unionization requirements in Colorado. The governor said he would veto any bill that did not get business on board. And it looks like that's what's going to happen. Today, House Democrats advanced a bill making it easier for workers to unionize in Colorado. It would eliminate a decades-old requirement that forces workers to vote twice before they form a union and get to deduct dues. One more vote in the House, and that goes to the governor for the expected veto, with Republicans backing the Democratic governor on this, and Dems hoping for a change of heart.
This bill is destined for a hack job. This is going to die on the desk of the governor. if the governor keeps his word on that.
Well, I would think as the figurehead of the Democratic Party, he will do what Democrats ask him to do. And what Democrats worked on incessantly to get done. And I have faith that he will do it. He will sign this bill.
I don't think that he will. I mean, I don't know. He said right here he wasn't going to do it. So, well, we'll see. We might have to wait on this veto decision. Session ends on Wednesday, and then the governor gets 30 days after that to decide. Democrats' attempt to take on the Taxpayer Bill of Rights in the court system is dead for now. Of course, Tabor is the thing that limits how much Colorado can keep and spend each year. It also provides refunds to taxpayers when state money is collected over the legal cap, or taxpayer money is collected over the state cap. Democrats have long complained that basically this hamstrings government, but parts of Tabor are quite popular, like voting on tax increases. So Democrats sponsored a resolution this year to basically force the state to file a lawsuit to get a judge to decide whether or not Tabor is constitutional. That bill has now been delayed to the point that it cannot pass this year. Neighbors argue all the time, right? Rarely with millions of dollars on the line. Aurora is suing Denver to determine which city has to pay for the police misconduct lawsuits from the Black Lives Matter protests back in 2020. Our Mark Salinger has new developments in this long-running feud.
When the Black Lives Matter protests erupted in 2020, Denver called Aurora for help. Aurora sent police officers and an emergency response team to its neighbor. Over the coming years, officers from both Denver and Aurora began facing lawsuits of police misconduct. Aurora thought Denver would pay for legal fees, settlements, and payouts involving APD officers. Denver says no. Now the case is heading to trial in September.
The basic theory here is if we lend you our officers and they are then sued, you, the municipality that requested the officers, are responsible for any verdict against them and attorney fees.
Denver has already paid out nearly $15 million in settlement claims from the George Floyd protests. Tonight, Denver City Council will re-up $1 million agreement with a law firm to represent the city in its lawsuit with Aurora, as well as other civil rights cases. 9 News legal expert Scott Robinson says Aurora could be on the hook for millions too if they lose the case against Denver.
We're really talking about potentially millions and millions of dollars. So this is a significant litigation, no matter which way the jury rules.
The Denver City Attorney's Office said the city would vigorously defend itself in the lawsuit filed by its neighbor. Court filings show the two cities are not close to a settlement to avoid a trial, and it all comes down to who was in charge of the officers during the protests.
The key factual issue in this case is whether the Aurora officers were under the supervision and control of Denver officers or Aurora Command, and what policies were followed, those of the Denver Police Department or those of Aurora.
This, of course, has wide-ranging implications for how mutual aid and the sharing of resources across city lines works. Aurora says it always assumed that Denver would pay for any lawsuits that came about after they were called in to help. Denver is adamant that they weren't on the hook and aren't on the hook right now for any alleged wrongdoings of Aurora police officers, Kyle.
I feel like this is really in the rearview mirror for a lot of folks, Mark, but it still impacts the way that these two cities work together right now and will again in the future.
Yeah, there's still lawsuits out there to determine exactly what happened and who's at fault and now who should pay for it. You heard it there. Millions of dollars are at stake for which way this trial goes.
Mark Salinger, thank you. The town of Lakeside operated as something of a family business. Nothing wrong with that unless your family business is doing crimes. Now the former clerk of that mapped out of a town between Denver and Wheat Ridge is headed for probation after her former mayor father also pleaded guilty. Brenda Hamilton got 3 years probation. She was fired from Lakeside last July, along with her father, Robert Gordonier, who'd been the town's mayor and police chief. Investigators say they had a setup where Hamilton, the daughter, would buy the town's police vehicles at bargain prices, like $500 for a Dodge Charger, then resell them for much more, pocketing the profits illegally. Hamilton took a plea deal in March. She'd face up to 3 years in prison. Her father also pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to 4 years probation. Each Monday is a little less Monday-ish because we get to celebrate the good that you have done with your latest microgiving campaign. Between one-time donations and monthly recurring gifts to the Word of Thanks Fund, you raised more than $40,000 for Denver Inner City Parish. That nonprofit has a program that helps seniors with food basket deliveries, transportation to appointments, and social events to combat loneliness. It's good work, and you're keeping it going after they lost some federal money. As we approach the 5th anniversary of your weekly micro-giving, we are also coming up on $15 million raised for nonprofits across Colorado. I hope that you're proud of that. I am. So tell me about the nonprofit projects in your community and how we can help. Email ideas to next@9news.com or text NEXT 303-871-1491. Lmer Square, giving the Avs a lot of love. Sadly, that playoff run is over. So they're going to support the Nuggets next, right? And if you have a good idea who is going to be the next pope, don't bet on it. The state gaming division is reminding Coloradans, don't bet on it. The conclave to select the next pope begins Wednesday. I'm sure many of you are asking the same question. Where can you place a bet on your favorite prospective pope? Play a little fantasy papacy? Win some green when the white smoke rises? Well, you can't get that sweet action on the Supreme Pontiff through Colorado sports books. It's illegal. The betting markets currently favor Italian Cardinal Pietro Parolin, but most of that gambling on the next Holy Father is happening outside the United States. Here, it's mostly available through crypto-based futures companies like Polymarket. Colorado prohibits betting on the next pope. The state's gaming division told us it, quote, does not meet the definition of a sporting event. As for whether betting on the papal conclave will sentence you to eternal damnation, there is some good news on that front. So back in 1591, Pope Gregory XIV outlawed betting on the election of the Pope. You could get excommunicated for getting a piece of that action. But that canon law was abrogated in 1918. So there is no current Catholic teaching on the subject. So it's just between you and the man upstairs, presuming your bookie lives in the same building.
The much advertised spring storm is on the way. Hard to believe we're looking at heavy rain and snow when we enjoyed sunshine at 80 degrees yesterday. The showers have yet to reach the metro area. Temperatures have cooled back about 10 degrees. We're down to 55 in the city this hour. The wind has been ferocious today out of the south and southeast, gusts to 30 and 40 miles per hour. It made it feel a whole lot colder than that high in the mid-60s. Look at this beautiful storm spinning over the Four Corners area, sending waves up from the south. Most of the showers have extended from Trinidad, Pueblo into Colorado Springs, with snow level up high around 11,000 feet. I think in the next couple hours, we'll see a little push of showers in Denver. We get a break overnight. The focus really becomes the heavy snow and the snow event in the mountains, with the winter storm warning for 1 to 2 feet of snow by Wednesday afternoon. Put that in your planner if your travel takes you up I-70. For us lowlanders, it's going to be rain. 1, 2, 3 inches of rain. Scattered light showers tonight. The heavy main event starts up tomorrow and continues all day long. Grab a jacket and umbrella throughout the day tomorrow. You will need it. There may be some street flooding, a little slipping and sliding on the roadways just because of the ponding on the roadways, and there may be some flooding under underpasses, so never drive through water if you don't know how deep it is. Heavy snow in the mountains, but not for long. A high of only 49 tomorrow. Weather impact alert issued for the travel impacts due to heavy rain and snow. Clearing Wednesday. Warming trend will take us right into Mother's Day weekend with sunshine and Sunday for mom for the second half of your weekend.
Of all the Coloradans who were furiously flipping between the Avs and Nuggets simultaneous Game 7s on Saturday, you know who was the most nervous? The dude who has to hang up the flags at Lmer Square, because that famously photographed street went all in on the Avs. Nothing but Avs flags down there. No Nuggets flags in sight. Then the Nuggets won and the Avs lost, so now that Lmer Square flag guy's left flapping in the wind. We flew over Lmer Square today. Switchover hasn't happened yet. We reached out to ask why Lmer Square went all Avs, no Nuggets, and whether the Nuggets would get some love now that the Avs season is on ice. Lmer Square told us no. But they told us no very politely in one of those overly peppy-sounding PR statements. Can we get some of the press release reading music, please? Here it goes. Quote, as of Tuesday, Lmer Square will once again be festooned with Colorado state flags as downtown Denver's most historic block gears up for the busy summer season. Wow, no festooning for the Nuggets. They're our last shot for the postseason in this calendar year because the Rockies, and they can't even get a good old festooning from Lmer Square. That's rough, guys, but we're with you, Nuggets. You are forever festooned in our hearts. Kids in Larimer County, or Jefferson County rather, are playing with fire. It is not only allowed, this is encouraged because they are learning about a potential career path. And hey, a reminder, you can catch this nonsense streaming nightly at 6 p.m. on 9 News Plus. And if you only want to get half the jokes, you can listen to Next as a podcast wherever you find those. Kids are often curious about fire with disastrous results. A school in Lakewood is channeling that interest into exposure to a possible career path. Our Byron Reed has the story.
In case of a fire, you should have a plan. But for some, the plan might be unexpected.
Today we are dissecting a pig that was in a fire.
Britta Griffin is a senior at Warren Tech studying forensic science.
Yes, this will be my future career 100%, just with humans, not with animals.
She's developing a blueprint of what she wants to do after graduation.
It's a window into like what you're gonna do in the future, and that's what I like about it. So like I have some sort of idea of what I'm gonna be doing.
Her school in Lakewood is holding their 10th annual Fire Investigation Day. Students interested in building trades, fire science, criminal justice, and forensic science take part in a simulated arson investigation.
How many structure fires are arson? So it's less than 10%.
Students work with industry professionals to get an idea of what their careers might look like.
And we're going to teach the forensics kids how to properly collect the evidence, and we're also going to have the pathology kids train and simulate for a body that might be inside.
Sergeant David Mooney is a fire investigator with Lockheed Martin Space. He's helping students get a glimpse into their future.
Students are learning today evidence collection techniques, fire suppression efforts, the management of building different rooms and contents to make sure that their fire ratings meet the national standards.
Many of these students will continue after they graduate from high school to go into that career pathway.
Marcia Patton is one of the associate principals of the campus that puts students in the right direction.
When they come here, not only do they learn skills and they learn about a field they might be interested in, they learn what the pathway is, what their next steps are to get there.
It smells horrible.
For Britta and her classmates, the day is filled with information that's extinguishing any fears about what's next.
This really like solidified it for me that this is what I'm gonna do in the future.
For Next,
it went amazing. Honestly, I have no complaints, except for the smell.
I'm Byron Reed.
Marissa, you know how tastefully they didn't show the pig as it was being cut up. We just kind of saw the other stuff around the edges. Thank goodness for that. We're back with your feedback next. Y'all are in a nice mood with feedback tonight. Jim writes, have to give you props for the sarcasm tonight. Jim, I read that aloud mainly just to prove to the boss that there is one person out there who likes it. Ed writes in to say, Kyle, your hair looks good. Just curious what hair dye you use. No dye, Ed. It's real and it's spectacular. We'll see you next time.